Hello, everyone. Here we are live. We had some technical issues, but all is fixed now. Let me give you a few moments. Hey, everyone. If you can see me, if you can hear me, type hello in the chat. Let's make sure everything is working properly. I'm here to answer your questions, to serve you. Hi, S. You look so pretty. Hello. Thank you so very much. Hello, hello. Welcome back, Hussein. Hello. Great. Okay. We are ready. So I wanted to hang out with you. It's Friday. It's 5 p.m. in the UK. Let me know where you're at, what time is at your place where you are, and enjoy a cup of tea together. I am good. Great to see your faces, your names, your emojis. Great. So I wanted to do this live and really answer any questions you have about quitting smoking. Quitting smoking, what stops you from quitting smoking. I'm here at your service. 9 a.m. in California. It's early. I am from Greece. I grew up in Greece and I've been living in London for the last 12 years. So I live in London. Yeah. 9:37 p.m. in India. I love the specificity of this. Hi, Aznur. Great to see you. Ankara, 7 p.m. Yes, 2 hours. 2 hours difference. Okay, I'm seeing some questions coming in already, and if you have more, you can always type them in the chat. So, S, if you want to tell me your name, if you don't mind me calling you S, that's okay. So S says, I've been watching your channel for at least 16 months now, and it's been a year almost since I've completely quit. In March, I had a relapse, but even to get through it, your videos helped me, and I stopped again. Well, huge congratulations on quitting smoking, and huge congratulations on getting back on track. Now, a relapse, I understand it can be quite frustrating, but here's how to make one relapse not repeat itself again by extracting the lesson of that relapse. Because if we see a lapse, which is what you had, like a lapse is a momentary return to smoking. When we see as a lapse as a lesson, as something that has information for us so we can permanently and easily succeed, then a lapse becomes a stepping stone to our success. However, and I'm not saying this happened to you, but this is a very, very common concern. So that's why I'm addressing it. When we see a lapse as a personal flaw, as proof that we are something not enough, not strong enough, not capable enough, then it becomes something that makes us feel blocked. So I'm really excited to hear that you got back on track. But if you haven't already done so, I would encourage you to reflect on that lapse. What caused you to have a cigarette? What was the thought, the emotion? And if that thought and emotion comes back, how are you going to handle it differently? That will give you so much confidence, so much power as you enjoy your life as a non-smoker now. Hussein says, I quit I quit smoking 47 days ago, but I smoke two today. Will wait 5 days to get rid of nicotine. So I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came here. It was at the perfect time. So the same advice applies to you as well. What happened today? Why did you choose to smoke too? Try to see that lapse as a lesson that has very, very valuable information for you because it does. And that will allow you to stay smoke free from now on. It takes 5 days to get rid of nicotine from your body. That's absolutely correct. 3 to 5 days. After you stop taking nicotine, it leaves your body. The thing is that what makes us go back to smoking 5 days, 5 months, 5 years after nicotine has left the body, it's not the physical addiction, it's the mental addiction and the behavioral addiction. And the mental addiction is what smoking means to us, what we believe it offers us. The behavioral addiction is how integrated smoking is to our lives. So, extracting the lesson will help you really see where the mental addiction still lives in your mind and your psyche and work towards that so you can remain smoke free. Yash says, I honestly tell you that I never started smoking. Reason being, I was always afraid, what if I liked it? Very interesting. So, what brought you to this channel, to the Civic Method channel, and this live? I would love to know. And absolutely, it's very wise to never start smoking because it is an addiction. At the beginning, we don't like it, then we get used to it, then we start hating it, and then we start hating ourselves for not being able to quit. So that's how addiction works. So very good, you never started. I'm failing, Nasia. Give something that will motivate me. Keep going. I have 2 days stop, but I feel like I can't live without it. Great. Great question. You're asking the right question. So the fear and the belief that I cannot live without it is really a sign of a mental addiction. Because remember, the mental addiction is what smoking, vaping, nicotine means to us, what we believe it offers us. But smoking is like an abusive relationship. It makes you think you're getting something, but you're not. You go through life, you cope, you create your routine, you form relationships, you relax. Smoking or vaping just sits there, does nothing, and takes all the credit. Because how can something with zero IQ, someone say, type in the chat, zero IQ? It has zero IQ. How can something with zero IQ do all this for you? Do everything for us? Helps us relax. It helps us socialize. It helps us drive. It helps. I'm a terrible driver, by the way. That's why I've done the world a favor and I'm not driving at all. But it helps us with everything, right? Talk on the phone, celebrate. It's, we say, and I used to say when I was a smoker, it's the only thing I do for myself. It's my treat. Treat. What a funny word, right? We treat ourselves, but are we treating ourselves well? Or are we treating ourselves badly? That's the kind of treat smoking is. A bad treatment. So how to motivate you? Who feels like you want motivation to quit smoking? Or you feel like you lack motivation? Let me know in the chat. And I'm gonna give you maybe a little exercise if you're up for it to help you tap into your motivation. Let me know. I'm seeing the hearts. Who feels like you lack motivation or you would like more motivation? Lack motivation in so much. Okay, great. So here's how to think about motivation. Great. Your comments are coming in. So the mistake And the trap with motivation is that we believe it's something we either have or don't have, or something that comes to us suddenly in a moment of inspiration. And then that keeps us stuck because we judge ourselves based on feeling motivated or not. And then we just wait for it to appear in our lives. And we wait and we wait, and it never comes. So the thing with motivation is like a fuel. We need to refuel our motivation. We need to find it, and then we need to refuel it. It's like putting fuel in your car. You don't put fuel once and the car runs forever, right? We have to refuel it because motivation is an emotion. So we have to attach it. We have to attach it to something that matters to us, but it is an emotion nevertheless. So we have to nurture. We have to refuel our motivation. And when we feel low in our motivation, consider this as a normal part of the motivation ups and downs, not as the end goal. Oh, I lost my motivation. No. So here's how to think about motivation. There are two types of motivation: extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. Someone type intrinsic and extrinsic. I know these are tricky words, but that's how psychology calls the two types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. So what are those? Extrinsic, it's motivation that comes from external factors. Like, I need to quit smoking for my health because of that upcoming surgery, because of that upcoming wedding, as a favor to my children, because that person asked me to, because the price of cigarettes is increasing all the time, because that pack is about to finish and I don't want to buy another pack. So it's from external circumstances. But the problem with that type of motivation, the extrinsic, is that it quickly runs out. Because the moment we achieve our goal, and let's say I quit smoking because the price of cigarettes has become too expensive. The moment I achieve my goal, the motivation goes away because I achieved it. Because my motivation does not come from inside of me. So extrinsic motivation, external, it runs out very, very quickly. So it's not sustainable. And that's why we need intrinsic motivation, which is the motivation that comes from our psyche, from our deepest desires, that's connected to not reasons, but our values. So extrinsic motivation says, I need to quit smoking because of this and that reason. Very valid, very valid. But it runs out. On the other hand, intrinsic motivation comes from the person I want to be. It's connected to my values. What do I value? Not why do I need to quit smoking, but what do I value in my life? Health, freedom, family. Intrinsic motivation, or what I call emotional reason, as opposed to logical reason to quit smoking, is what kind of person do I want to be? Is this making sense? Give me an emoji, a wave, if this is making sense so far. I'm seeing some hearts. Great. So how do we tap into our intrinsic motivation? We have to ask ourselves these questions. Why do I want to be free? So I invite you to ask yourself this question as well, and you're welcome to share your answers in the chat. But do this with me now. Why do I want to be free? Because nobody wants to quit smoking. We want to be healthy. We want to be free. We want to have peace of mind. We want to feel good about ourselves. We don't want to quit smoking. We want the transformation that comes from it. And there is an incredible transformation coming from it. So, why do I want to be free? Ask yourself this. What's your answer? Next question. Sarah says to have life. Wow. Yes. Is there anything more important than that? To have life in our existence, not in terms of length only, but in terms of quality, in terms of higher vibration, higher energy. Because when we are addicted, we're constantly conflicted in our own mind. We're battling ourselves every single day. A part of us, the addicted you, says, you need to smoke, you need to smoke, you need to vape. And the other part of you, what I call the real you, says, I want to be free. I want to be healthy. So we live in constant conflict. And this is draining our mental energy and our life and our confidence. It's like a thorn on our side and that we have every single day. So have more life. What a great answer. So first question was, who can remind me? What's the first question to tap into your emotional reason, your intrinsic motivation that never runs out? Is why do I want to be what? Why do I want to be free? Now, the second question is, what would I love about being free from addiction? Notice the difference, why I have to quit, why I have to give them up or lay them down, as opposed to what would I love about being free from addiction? Not having to think about smoking and vaping every hour of the day, not having health anxiety, not feeling ashamed and terrified every time I go for my yearly health checkup. I would love to play with my children or my grandchildren, and the moment I get tired, to not immediately think I'm having a heart attack because I'm worried about my health constantly. I would love to be an example for my loved ones, whether they smoke or not, to show them what's possible when you put your mind into something and when achieving it. So, what would I love? And that can be personal. It doesn't have to be a grand reason either. Like, over the years, our members have come up with all sorts of reasons that are important to them. Youthfulness, looking more youthful. It doesn't have to make sense to others. It just has to mean something to you. So what would I love about being free from addiction? Not wearing anymore. If I have enough cigarettes and getting out of my way to go buy cigarettes and treat cigarettes or smokeless tobacco or vaping as if it's an essential, like food. Can you relate to that? Give me a one in the chat if you're following so far. If you have your answers so far. Maybe I'm going too fast. Great. Seeing the reactions, the waves. Great. Seeing the ones. I'm gonna wait for a couple more ones. Great. Awesome. Thank you for being engaged, by the way. This is very important because when you are engaged, even if it's typing one or a thumbs up, what happens is that you're doing active listening instead of passive listening. And when you do active listening, what happens is that you remember more. And you don't just get the information, but you're going to get something that will stay with you after this live. So well done. Congratulations for being here, making time for yourself, and double congratulations on engaging. I love it. So I have one last question. The first question was, why do I want to be free? The second question is, what would I love about being free from addiction? The third question is, what kind of person am I? And that's the most important one. And that answer will be different for each and every one of you. Like, I am the kind of person that sets a goal and achieves it. I am the kind of person that values freedom and independence. And being addicted takes both of them away, our freedom and our independence. I am the kind of person who has achieved so many things in life. I am the kind of person that doesn't want to rely on vices anymore. I am the kind of person that wants to get done with this, remove that thorn from my side. I am the kind of person that, share in the chat, what kind of person are you? Something you want yourself to remember. For me, my answer was, I am the kind of person who values freedom and independence. And when I realized that, I am the person who values freedom and independence. And when I was a smoker, I had chained myself to a master with zero IQ. I could not unsee this truth anymore. So that's why the answer has to be meaningful to you. Take a moment, type your answer, and then give me a 1 if you've done this. And I'm seeing your questions that are coming up. I'm gonna answer them. Thank you all for asking. Sarah says, I am the kind of person who can maintain independence in my senior years. Very powerful. Yes, very powerful. Yash says, I am the kind of person who worships his own body like it's a temple. Oh, very powerful. Yes. There is this quote by Jim Rohn that says, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Great answers. Give me one more. And then I'll scroll up and answer more of your questions. Well done for playing full out and being engaged. This will serve you. Awesome. I'm seeing the ones in the chat coming up. Great. I am the kind of person that lives in freedom and good health. Very powerful. Very powerful. Thank you for sharing. Okay. And as you're finalizing your answers, let me see some of the questions that you've already shared that I didn't answer yet. Shall we? Okay, I'm scrolling up. So Bill says, "Hi Nasia, I'm Italian, but I live in London, Giordano, and I was watching your channel from long time. It helps a lot. Thanks." You're very, very welcome, Bill. It's great to hear that. Great to hear that. Dawn says, "I started smoking after my mom died by suicide. I have done CBQ easily quit for 3 weeks. Then my daughter mental health crisis triggered me to start again. Quit, trauma trigger, start again. Help." So, Dawn, I'm really, really sorry for all this. Your mom, the challenges with your daughter, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I don't know if you were at the beginning of the call, but I talked about relapse because there was a big theme today. Of course, you can quit smoking, you've done it. But I think in your next quit, everything that has happened is information on what you need to do differently so you can protect your success. And based on what you're telling me, all this is an invitation to go deeper and remove actually your mental addiction. Because when we relapse again and again, when a traumatic event happens, it means that deep down, a part of us still believes that smoking will do something for us in those situations. And that, and only that, is the problem and the opportunity to actually claim your freedom for good. It is as simple as that. It's not a personal flaw. There's nothing wrong with you. And it's not even all the crisis that comes from life, because these things always happen. We cannot really quit smoking expecting that nothing will go wrong. A lot of things went wrong in your life, without a doubt, but it is an invitation that you believe, a part of you, at least a part of you believes that smoking does something for you. But the truth is that when you overcome the mental addiction, you realize not only that you don't want to smoke, which you may already be at that stage, you realize that smoking does nothing for you, especially during a crisis. Smoking a cigarette doesn't make the crisis go away, doesn't make us feel better. What it does is it adds one more problem to the list of problems we already have, and it adds even more negative feelings to the roster of our emotions, because we have the guilt and the self-blame and feeling weak. So that's what I would encourage you to focus on. Now, for everyone interested on how to overcome the mental addiction in a way that you don't relapse, I'm running a free masterclass on the 3 mistakes that keep you stuck to smoking and how to quit smoking with the CBQ method. I'm also sharing my story. If you feel stuck and you need a solution and you just don't know where to start, that masterclass is the next best step. You can save your free spot by going to cbqwebinar.com. We're always having new masterclasses. They're great. They are free at this point, and I would love to see you there. And when you join, let me know that you've attended this live and join from there. Can I ask my team to share the link? You can type cbqwebinar.com in your browser, but my team will share the links if you want to register directly. I'm gonna keep going through the comments. Hussein says, "Thank you for the information. You're really very good." Thank you so much. I've been doing this for 10 years. So it's a lot of experience, but I also absolutely love it. I just love it. So thank you for your kind words. Yash says, "Just to know how to get rid of any other addiction." When I asked before why you joined this. Great, because the CBQ method applies to all habits and addictions. And here is why. Because in my research, when I was trying to figure out how to quit smoking myself, I read all sorts of scientific books, research papers on behavioral modification, neuroscience. I interviewed doctors, psychologists, smokers, ex-smokers to find out this question: why some people find quitting easy, while others like me fail again and again. And after months and months of research, I actually discovered the 4 stages that the brain naturally goes through to form or break habits and addictions. And that's how I created the CBQ method, cognitive behavioral quitting method, that has these 4 stages. And they work because they mirror the stages and the phases the brain naturally goes through to form habits and addictions. So that's why this method applies to all habits and addictions. Sarah said earlier, didn't realize I needed this, but this is what I needed. But though I didn't smoke, I felt like I've been stuck all week. Great. And how amazing it is that you keep showing up for yourself, Sarah. I know you do. You're giving yourself again and again an incredible gift. So what says, I live in Saudi Arabia. There is chewing tobacco called, I'm sure I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm going to try, Al Aladani. It's really killing me to stop using it. Since last 6 years I'm trying, but I can't. So I recommend going to our YouTube channel and watching the Ask an X interview with the CBQ program member Scott. Scott was also addicted to chewing tobacco for many, many decades, and he's sharing his story of how he quit chewing tobacco with our program. And I think sometimes before entering the process of quitting smoking, we need to start with the belief that this is possible. And that belief starts by seeing someone else who has done what we want to do. Because what an addiction does, it tells us, our nicotine addiction in all form, in all frequencies, and any addiction, it tells us you are different, you are the exception. The rules don't apply to you because fill in the gap. Because you vape, because you chew smokeless tobacco, because you live in a culture where everyone smokes, because you've been smoking for 50 years, because you smoke too little. So you're addicted to every single cigarette. But this is the narrative of addiction, to tells us that we're different and we're the exceptions. So it is very important to start by seeing someone who has done what you want to do, because it starts opening the mind to the belief that, hey, it is possible. And then you can apply the civic method and break free. If you try alone and try again with willpower, like I'm quitting on Monday type of thing, we've all done this. Who can relate to that? How many Mondays have we quit? How many at the end of the pack have we quit? But unless we actually rewire our mind, we're never going to be free. And that's the key. So, of course, you can succeed. And that's why in my master class, you're going to see so many success stories from people from all ages and all walks of life, which is amazing. I love it. It's the best thing. Why do I have all these success stories? To start shifting that limiting belief that I cannot do it. Very important, very powerful. That's why the master class is not about information, because information is everywhere. It's about the right information, and it's about a transformation. And how does transformation happen? When we start shifting our limitations. So having success stories. And when you listen to those success stories, those testimonies, and think, how am I similar to this person? Not how I'm different, because that's key. Then you start shifting your mind. And this is a great foundation. I just saw the comment, it's hard to think intrinsic reasons when I want to smoke. Yes, we're not denying that we want to smoke when we're addicted, but we also want to tap. Remember, there are two your mind, it's like you're of two minds. A part of you wants to be smoke free. That's why you're here. That's why you're engaging. And the other part of you wants to smoke. So the other part of you that wants to smoke, it will always want to smoke until you overcome the mental addiction. But when you do the exercise, trying to connect with what would you love about being free, we're talking to the other part of you, the real you, the you that wants health and freedom, the you that brought you here. So connect to that part. I think this is a great way to just visualize inside your mind where to direct your attention and not have that block that doesn't allow you to get an answer. But the answer is there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So about the relapse, I think today's theme is relapse, right? Let's embrace it fully. So I try to figure out what caused the relapse, but I cannot come up with any reason. It worries it might happen again because in the past I've quit for over 2 years. First of all, I want to say well done for trying to find that answer. It is very important because when we think that a relapse came out of nowhere, what happens is that we feel powerless and we feel like it may happen again. And we have no awareness, no control, nothing. But there is always a reason for a relapse. Always a reason. Maybe the reason can be very, very evident, like losing someone or going through a crisis, but there is a deeper reason always. What causes a relapse is a thought pattern. Even when the trigger is a crisis, it is the thought pattern that causes a relapse. It is the craving mind giving us a very convincing and enticing reason as to why we should smoke. So trying to connect and understand what was that thinking pattern, this is the key to actually securing your freedom and having the confidence that is not just gonna come out of nowhere in your life. There is a thought pattern, there was a mental craving taking place. A mental craving. So there are two types of cravings, physical and mental. Physical cravings, they are subtle, they last a minute each, it's like a wave, and they go away completely 3 to 5 days after you stop taking all nicotine. Why? Because 3 to 5 days it takes for the nicotine to leave our body, to be expelled by our system. So physical cravings are not a problem. What makes us smoke are our mental cravings. Now, mental cravings are what I call, but according to the civic method, and this is like after years of research, mental cravings are just positive thoughts about smoking that create positive feelings about smoking. When I say positive thoughts about smoking, I don't mean that they are good thoughts. I mean that they are thoughts that imply there is a benefit from smoking in a particular moment, either by enhancing a situation. For example, I need a cigarette to relax. I need a cigarette to celebrate. I need a cigarette to enjoy this social situation. So, by enhancing a situation, or mental cravings are thoughts that imply there is a benefit from smoking in a particular moment by avoiding an imaginary catastrophe. For example, if I don't smoke, this craving will never go away. If I don't smoke, I'm going to have a horrible morning. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to lash out to everyone. I'm going to get fired. My family is going to abandon me and all my friends as well. This is what our addiction does. It makes us catastrophize. If I don't smoke, the pain will never go away. So there was a mental craving that told you there is a benefit from smoking in that moment. And if you find what that is, it's going to be gold. James asks, how do I get past depression and boredom when it seems like it's my only friend? James, I highly recommend registering for my masterclass because I will talk about emotions and Withdrawal. So if you haven't already done so, go to cbqwebinar.com, register for the next masterclass, because I share exactly why we believe smoking is something that adds value to our lives. We use it to cope with our emotions. And what's the key to breaking free without having to suffer and having our life turned upside down and having to avoid all our triggers and avoid all the people in our lives and just break our routine? No, we just have to remove the problem, which is the mental and behavioral addiction. So highly, highly recommend registering for that, because when we're addicted, of course we see and we see smoking as our only friend, because we say it's always been there for me. It's a constant in my life. It helps me think things through. It's the only thing that's there for me, right? And that's what gives the illusion that it is a friend. But it's another friend. It's a foe, because it takes the credit for everything that you are able to do in your life. Like, have you ever had a friend, maybe in primary school, maybe adults don't do that much, that took the credit for everything you're doing? We've watched that in movies, right? Someone who causes problems, like let's say there's the protagonist, and the protagonist has a friend, and the friend is devious and causes problems to the protagonist behind his back, and then the friend presents himself as the savior and the solution, even though the friend created the problems in the first place. Who knows what I'm talking about? Well, that's exactly the type of friend smoking is. It solves the problem it creates. It makes us stressed because nicotine is increasing, is making us physically stressed, increasing our heart rate, our blood pressure. It is not relaxing to our body. So it makes us stressed, creates cravings, and then we satisfy the addiction, we feel relieved, and we think we relaxed because of a cigarette, but we don't really think a step back on how that cigarette has been making us more stressed. Same with depression. Nicotine is messing up the dopamine balance in our body. So when we train our brain to release its dopamine when nicotine is present, and we think that I'm going to be so depressed without the cigarette, well, in reality, it is smoking that makes us depressed, and at least increases our depression. But research shows that quitting smoking decreases anxiety, it decreases depression, even for people, listen to this, even for people with psychiatric disorders. And they found that quitting smoking is as effective as antidepressants. That's how important it is. So nicotine is the problem, not the solution. In the CBQ program, the CBQ Quit Smoking program, in one of the first videos of the program, I share this lesson that nicotine is the problem, not the solution. We treat it as if it's the solution to everything, but in reality, we have to see how it's the problem. Also, when we're bored, which is a very normal part of the human condition, right? When we're bored and we smoke a cigarette, what happens? Nothing. Like nothing. Boredom is just another rationalization as to why we need to feed our addiction. But it doesn't actually help with boredom. If it did, then any other activity, like literally any other activity, would satisfy the same problem. For example, I'm bored, I can take my pen and move it up and down, and it would be the same as smoking a cigarette if cigarette really helped with boredom. But it doesn't. It's just another reason to smoke. Is that making sense? I'm up in the chat, so let me know down if this is making sense so far. Jill says, I'm a non-smoker for 4 weeks thanks to the CBQ method. Huge congratulations. A round of applause to Jill. Amazing. Congratulations. So the other day, one of our members she's she's over 2 years smoke free, and she was telling me how when she goes to her doctor, she went to her doctor, and the doctor asked, "Are you a smoker?" Because she used to be a smoker, and she said, "No, I'm a non-smoker," and she was very proud that she was able to say that. And the doctor wrote down non-smoker, and then our member says, "No, no, say happy non-smoker. Write down happy non-smoker." And the doctor was like, "What?" So yes, right, it's important to me. So the doctor wrote down happy non-smoker, and she told me that now she always asks her doctor to write happy non-smoker because that's how she feels like, and she's proud. She's proud to be a happy non-smoker. So huge congratulations. Next question is, I cut back on cigarettes and now they seem like they are so great. Yes, great question. I know it's a statement, but it's quite juicy. So here's the thing, because a lot of people ask me, is what is it better, going cold turkey or cutting down gradually? Have you ever wondered that, if you haven't already quit? What is it better, going cold turkey or cutting down gradually? And there are so many ads and just nonsense, absolute nonsense of information out there. And here's the truth. You want to know the truth? It's going to make so much sense to you. I promise. So the truth is that cutting down gradually or going cold turkey, it doesn't matter. They're not quit smoking approaches. They're just different ways to remove nicotine from your body. But remember, smoking is a mental and a behavioral addiction, not a physical addiction. The physical nicotine as a substance, it's weak because it leaves the body quickly. It has a short half-life. So when we think that going cold turkey or cutting down gradually, that they're methods, we act as if removing nicotine is what's going to remove the real problem, the root of our addiction, which is our mental addiction. But it's not. So whether you cut down gradually or go cold turkey, it doesn't matter if you don't overcome the mental addiction. Because if you go cold, if you're mentally addicted and then you go cold turkey, you feel like explosions happen and you're panicked and irritable and you feel horrible and you have to use your willpower, which makes you irritable. On the other hand, if you don't overcome the mental addiction and you cut down gradually, what happens is that with every cigarette you cut down, smoking seems more and more precious. So the problem is not the cutting down or the cold turkey. The problem is that we're trying to remove the nicotine from our body while still thinking, feeling, and operating as a smoker. So it doesn't really matter if you resist cigarettes, if you cut them down, if you lock yourself or go to a rehab or go on vacation. It doesn't matter if you still carry the mental addiction inside of you. So, cutting down gradually, it doesn't matter. The important thing is to overcome the mental addiction. Because when you do that, you're not going to feel deprived. And then you will be able to cut down gradually or go cold turkey and have that be a successful experience. So, it's not in the cutting down that we actually become non-smokers, because you can cut down and smoke 2 cigarettes a day. You cut down from 20 to 2. What's going to happen that will magically make you feel empowered to release the addiction just because you smoke 2 cigarettes? No. When you feel deprived, you're stuck. And feeling deprived is a sign of the mental addiction. Make sense? I'm reading Laszlo's, I hope I pronounced this well, question. So, hi, I quit smoking weed and cigarettes 29 days ago, and I have breathlessness and still and dry cough sometimes comes up as well. I have normal blood test and ECG. Great question about the withdrawal. First of all, can I say huge congratulations on quitting smoking and weed 29 days ago? That's huge. And a double whammy. Brilliant, brilliant. And for everyone who wants to see another success story about quitting weed and alcohol, go to our YouTube channel in the Ask an Ex playlist, and you will see how CBQ program member Andre from Canada quit both with the CBQ program. So, great question about the withdrawal. Let's talk about dry cough and then breathlessness. Okay, it's great that you have a normal blood test and ECG. Great. So, cough after quitting smoking happens because our lungs are clearing out mucus and toxins. So, we quit smoking and we have the physical withdrawal, which is really good for us. I know people say, "What are you talking about? Withdrawal is good for me?" Yes, nicotine withdrawal is a sign, it's literally the addiction and the toxins withdrawing from your body. So, it's good for you. You need withdrawal because you want health. Withdrawal, it is a sign that you're healing. Now, part of this healing is coughing, dry cough, just sometimes not so dry. And it's simply because your lungs are expelling mucus and toxins, especially when people have been smoking for many decades and there is more healing to be done in their lungs. They may have more intense cough. And especially if you've been smoking tobacco and weed, your lungs are simply just healing. So I wouldn't worry about that. Go to the CBQ method website and search for cough after quitting smoking. And I have some tips there that will help you soothe that cough. Now, breathlessness, another really, really worrisome symptom about quitting smoking, but you have nothing to worry about, especially that you know your blood pressure is normal. So breathlessness happens for the same reason, because we're constantly, our lungs are in a constant motion of expelling stuff. So this comes out as cough. It can also come out as breathlessness. So they come from the same symptom, which is really a freedom sign and a sign that you're healing. Now, the second reason that some people experience breathlessness after quitting smoking is that as smokers, we learn to not breathe properly. And we really only breathe properly when we inhale a cigarette, because in order for us to inhale a cigarette, we change our breathing from shallow to deep. So after quitting smoking, we don't anymore give ourselves the opportunity to breathe deeply, and we experience breathlessness. But it's because we cannot breathe properly. Not because you cannot, but also because you are just not giving yourself the opportunity to do deep breathing, which was happening involuntarily when you were a smoker, when you were smoking cigarettes, especially the first two puffs. So my advice to you is to do deep breathing. Very simple. Let's do together one for a moment. So breathe in. Let's do it all together. We're going to feel good. Breathe in for 3 seconds, and we're going to breathe out for 4 seconds. Let's do it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in again. One more time. Breathe out. Just do that. Whew. I feel so much more relaxed, so much more centered, I would say. How are you feeling? So just do that 3 times a day, and you're going to notice your breathlessness going away as well. And go to the cbqmethod.com website and search for coughing after quitting smoking, and you're going to see some advice there as well. But there's nothing wrong. You're doing great. Okay, reading more questions. I quit cold turkey, but now right back at it to the same behavior. I restarted slow thinking. I could control the intake, But that was a lie I told myself. And just realizing that that was a lie is a big thing, because I cannot tell you how many times it takes us years to learn that truth that keeps showing up in our lives, that you can never control the addiction. You're not supposed to. It's not about overpowering. When it comes to addiction, it's not about overpowering it. It's about being smarter than the addiction, not stronger than the addiction. And smarter means I'm going to reprogram my mind, and then I'm going to protect my freedom. And it's as simple as that, but great realization. It's not that I'm addicted to smoking cigarettes. I use this to deal with issues of heartbreak, regret, etc. I listen to songs while smoking. So, how to remove the association between smoking and music? So, I think that, can I be honest with you? Say, coach me, coach. Be honest. So, here it is. You are addicted. Having associations is addicted. Maybe you're not physically addicted because you're not missing it in your body, but you're not supposed to because the physical addiction is weak, but you are addicted. That's what addiction is. Those psychological and behavioral associations between smoking and our lives. So the fact that you believe smoking can help you deal with stress, the fact that you believe smoking can help you deal with heartbreak or regret, even though it has zero IQ and it's just brainless rolled piece of grass, that is a sign of the mental addiction taking hold in your life. The fact that you have an association between smoking and music, this is a sign of the behavioral, a symptom of the behavioral addiction. And of course, we see all these movies and all these shows that they show people how do they overcome a heartbreak. You take a bottle of wine, a tub of ice cream, and cigarettes. So it is etched in our mind that this is the way to go about it. But this is all propaganda for people to be addicted. Cigarettes do nothing for our heartbreak. They do nothing for stress. It's just the breathing that makes us relax, not the cigarettes. But our belief that they do, this is the mental addiction. So instead of giving you advice to break the association between smoking and music, which you can easily do by giving yourself enough experiences of listening to music without smoking cigarettes, I would encourage you to go at the beginning and say, what is smoking offering to my life? Or what would happen if I never smoked again, ever? And that question will open your mind up to what smoking means to you. So I gave you the short answer. I gave you maybe the answer you didn't want to hear, but I told you the truth. Okay, I am aware of the time. So if you haven't already done so, if you want to quit smoking, if you want to quit smoking but cannot get started, if you want to quit smoking but feel stuck, if you feel like nothing has worked for you, if you're sick and tired of saying I'm going to quit smoking on Monday or when the pack finishes and just trying again and again with willpower, and you just want a better way, a path that others have walked before you, then I would love to see you in my upcoming masterclass, Quit Smoking Masterclass. You can register at cbqwebinar.com. So let me actually type the link. cbqwebinar.com. I'd love to see you there. I will share with you what are the 3 secrets of quitting smoking, and I will show you how the CBQ method works. And this is the best place to see if the method speaks to you and if something that relates to you. Because I know some of you, when you learn about the CBQ method, you're going to think that this is perfect and exactly what I've been looking for. And I would love to be able to help you. So go to cbqwebinar.com. And when you attend, let me know that you were on this live. I will answer a few more questions. I'm not going to leave you hanging. So let me check. So Laszlo says, I really appreciate your help. Thank you for your care and your advice as well. You're very welcome. I'm glad my advice helped you. I love the breathing exercises. Yoga and meditation are also great, 100%. And journaling, if I might add. I have every morning I meditate and I journal. And in my meditation, I do deep breathing because smoking, especially because it's a comfort zone, right? Especially when we believe that it's the only thing I do for myself. It's my friend. This is just a sign that we use smoking to meet our need for certainty. But especially when we become non-smokers, we have to find healthy ways to meet our need for certainty. And one of those ways is to create a little routine of self-care. Doesn't have to be long, but it's just carving out the act of carving out some time where we focus on our well-being. JK, what about dizziness when quitting? So dizziness, and again, I'm going to talk about this more on the CBQ webinar, the CBQ masterclass. Dizziness actually happens because of our blood sugar levels. Part of my decade-long research in quitting smoking was figuring out the truth about nicotine withdrawal. Because what I've realized is that a lot of people think, and I used to think, that withdrawal is something I am powerless over, and it's just the bad aftermath of quitting smoking. And that it's just going to happen to us or not. And we just have to be lucky. But the truth is that there are people who have no withdrawal and people who suffer from withdrawal. And the truth is that there are people who, in one quit attempt, have zero withdrawal symptoms, and in other quit attempts, have tons of withdrawal symptoms. So actually, it's not something that just happens. There is the psychological withdrawal and there is the physical withdrawal. And when it comes to the physical withdrawal, a lot of those symptoms can be minimized and even avoided completely through nutrition. On the CBQ Quit Smoking program, on days 11 and 12, we talk all about what I call the silent withdrawal. So dizziness is about blood sugar levels. So to give you the short answer and a tip you can take with you, keep your blood sugar levels steady, which means not food high in sugar, because this will spike your blood sugar and then it will crash. And then when it crashes, you start feeling dizzy and irritated and more hungry and have brain fog. A lot of those symptoms that we hate about withdrawal. So keep your blood sugar levels steady. Have meals high in protein. Avoid completely added sugar. And you're going to notice that you don't have the dizziness anymore. Sarah says, thank you so much for continued support, working on proper thinking, and your help. You're very, very, very welcome. I am glad to hear that. I heard that as a Christian, we should not do yoga. So I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. I think it's better to ask your church, your pastor about that. I have never heard of that before. But if you think that this is not for you, that's not a problem. Deep breathing, meditation, you can think of meditation as prayer, where instead of just asking for something, you listen. So that is a way to think about meditation as a Christian. Minty, how is babies made? I think you're on the wrong live, my friend. The brain fog was immense for me. Yes, and it is because our blood sugar levels just drop. They not just they crash. And it's because of our food choices. Because when we quit smoking, especially when we feel a bit deprived and we have maybe a pre-existing emotional relationship with food, then the moment we feel that wanting, that little void, we go and grab a bag of M&Ms or things high in sugar, and we don't realize that those this type of food actually increases our physical withdrawal symptoms like brain fog, dizziness, even irritation, because when your blood sugar levels drop, you feel irritable. You're like, a bit edgy. JK says, thank you. I cannot wait to attend. I am excited for you to attend, to see you there. Tens of thousands of people attend the CiviQ Masterclass. I'm just so excited to be able to offer this for free, because it really helps you understand what has been holding you back and what is the truth about quitting smoking. And it's not because I say so, it makes sense. And when something makes sense to us, I feel that that's the most powerful thing, because we follow something that makes sense to us, not because this person said so and this person said so, but because it's reasonable, it's logical. So yes, I'm excited for you to attend. How can I break the alcohol cigarette chain? So it all starts uh, breaking that behavioral association is comes after, I would say. So in the CBQ method, we first reprogram the mind. We first understand our relationship with cigarettes, our mental addiction, what it means to us. And then we go on and break our behavioral associations like smoking and alcohol, smoking and morning coffee. Why? Because if I think about the addiction like a massive octopus with lots of tentacles, okay? So smoking and alcohol, it's a tentacle, but it's not the head of the octopus. So yes, you can break the association, but if you still believe that smoking gives you something, enjoyment, routine, comfort, then it's gonna show up in another tentacle. So it's just about treating the symptom instead of the problem. So the way we break all habits, and this happens on stage 3 of the CBQ method, is by giving ourselves enough experiences of our triggers as happy non-smokers. But to be able to give ourselves those experiences, we first have to address the mental reprogramming. And that's why this happens on stage 2, while the habit reversal happens on stage 3. So I would start you by asking, what are all the things that I believe smoking offers me, and what are all the ways it shows up in my life? If alcohol is the only one, which I doubt based on my experience, then just focus on breaking that association. But if you do that little exercise, so take a piece of paper, and I was looking for a piece of paper. I have many, but they're stacked. Anyway, take a piece of paper, put a line in the middle, like creating 2 columns, and in one column, write all the things that you believe smoking offers you. Even if you hate it, if you do it, a part of you believes that you're getting something out of it. We never do anything for no reason, even if it's self-destructive, especially when it's self-destructive. So what I believe smoking offers me, maybe it's just routine, maybe it's just comfort, maybe it's just part of my identity. Whatever there are no right or wrong answers, they're just your answers. So write those in one column, and the other column, write where it shows up in your life. And these are your behavioral associations. And then start by addressing the mental reprogramming. And when you do that, it's going to be so easy to break the behavioral pattern as well. I'm going to talk more about this on the CiviQ Masterclass that you can register by going to civicwebinar.com. Any final questions? Thank you so much. I mean, this was supposed to be one hour live, but I love answering your questions. So thank you for staying with me. So I'm seeing another comment. Taking care of your temple is not bad. Yoga is good. Religion should empower you, taking care of your body and not repress it. Think of yoga as only stretching and not that you're trying to become a yogi. Yes, great reframe. What's the benefit? Same with meditation. It's just listening. Sometimes the labels make things complicated for us. But connecting with your body, it can only serve you. It can serve you in quitting smoking, for sure, because you're more connected to that vehicle that you're trying to protect. And it's not just, oh, I have to quit smoking for my health so that one day in the future I will be healthy. But no, because I want to honor the vehicle that's carrying me through life. So connecting through meditation, through yoga, through exercise, through walking, it's a great thing. I'm going to pay for the whole deep dive for the program after the free one. It's it's just a fantastic program. I would love to have you on the program. I highly encourage you to join. It is how I can serve you at the highest level for sure. And it's a multi-award winning program. It's it's really good. It works. It has thousands and thousands of amazing success stories. So uh, that will be a great investment in yourself. Seth asked, how about gum to break the physical addiction? Is it hard to stay away from the junk food if I quit in the beginning? Yes, and I covered all this about the junk food. When we feel deprived, we try to get cheap dopamine after quitting smoking through food and through junk food. So it is not the junk food that's the problem, it's the symptom. The problem is being mentally addicted. So that's the solution there. Nicotine gum. You're asking about gum. I suppose you mean nicotine gum. Nicotine gum does not break the physical addiction, it prolongs it. The nicotine. And by the way, that's the entire thing of why big tobacco companies are taking advantage of people because they see smokers they want to quit. So they say, okay, we cannot lose all those smokers to quitting smoking. We have to direct them to other forms of nicotine. Why? Because a nicotine addict is a customer for life. So when we take a nicotine gum, what really happens is that we prolong our physical addiction, we prolong our physical withdrawal, and we intensify the mental addiction, which is the real problem. Because by taking gum, it's like telling ourselves, I need nicotine to cope with life and be relaxed and happy. I am too addicted to nicotine. So, no, you don't need the gum and actually can do more harm than good. So what really happens is that people who take the gum, and I cannot tell you how many people over the years join our program to quit nicotine spray, nicotine gum, nicotine substitutes that they start in vaping that they used as a means to quit smoking and they got so addicted to that. So that's one thing that happens. The other thing that happens is that we relapse back to smoking because by taking a nicotine gum, we remain physically, mentally, and behaviorally addicted to a delivery system for nicotine. So the only goal and the only permanent solution is to have mental freedom, nothing else. Everything else is bells and whistles, but that's the commander's intent. That's the only thing that matters to aim for mental freedom. Don't get distracted by all this nonsense and all this propaganda they try to make us believe. You don't need a nicotine gum to quit the nicotine addiction. You need to leave nicotine alone because it leaves your body in just 5 days. 5 days without nicotine, it has left your body. Why would you prolong that for weeks or months by taking nicotine substitutes? Also, nicotine substitutes do not resolve the real problem, the mental addiction, which is what you believe smoking offers you, what it does for you, how ingrained it is in your life. Hussein says, I couldn't click on the register button on the web page. Thank you for letting me know. Did anyone else have that issue? Like you tried to register for the webinar at cbqwebinar.com and you couldn't click the link? If you did, let me know so we can fix it right away. So temp Theo, so you say I moved to our farm to quit. No no tuck shops, far away from cigarettes, at least if I could make it a week free. Oh, this reminds me of when I was a smoker and I was saying, I wish I wish there was a rehab for smokers. And I went to my country house with my grandparents in Greece and I stayed there for a week because I was saying if only I could just escape all my issues for 1 week, I could have a head start on my quit. And that can help. But what happens when you're back? All your triggers are waiting for you. And what happens with the triggers the emotional triggers that you carry inside? Boredom, stress, loneliness, grief. Those don't go away when we just change our location. So, my invitation to you is to first address the real problem, the mental addiction. And then, if you want to go to your farm, it's a great environment for sure, but it's not going to solve the problem. The only way to really break our triggers is by changing our associations with them, by actually experiencing them as non-smokers, not by avoiding them, because we cannot avoid life and we cannot live in fear. That's not happy non-smoker, right? So do that if it speaks to you, but I feel responsible to warn you that address the real problem as well. Thank you. It was a blessing that I caught the live. Thank you so much. I'm not reading some final comments and then I'm going to close it. And if you're having, great, it's great to see that you've registered. So if you're having cravings, if you want to quit smoking but feel stuck, if you have already quit smoking but you feel deprived and you have cravings and you're afraid you're going to relapse, and truly if you've tried everything and you want a real solution, not just gimmicks and band-aids that don't work, then the best place to start is the cbqwebinar.com. It's a great, great masterclass, and a lot of people have found it transformative. Corona says, Corona survivor. That's great. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. You're very clever and you're helping people is very honorable. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yes, the thing with the CBQ method and the CBQ quit smoking program is that we are good and we are successful because we help other people succeed. So it all depends on the success of our people. And how amazing is that? To be able to just use your life in a way that serves other people and help them achieve their goals of health and freedom. I love it. I am very blessed to be able to do something like this that I love. Great. So let me add the link one more time because it went up in the comments. Let me do it. And I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you in the masterclass. Let me know, did you enjoy this? Was this useful? Should we do it again? I know lots of questions, but let me know. I'm gonna wait for your answers. Did you get at least one thing that was of value to you today? That's what I really want to know. Yes, everything is better. I'm answering a quick question. Everything is better in everyday life after quitting smoking when you've overcome the mental addiction. That's the key. I know I keep saying it again and again, but I'm saying it again and again because that's the truth. When you overcome the mental addiction and you quit smoking, everything is better because you feel good about yourself. You show up in your relationships in a way that makes you feel good. You're free. And addiction is not happiness. Freedom is happiness. And you already know this. So that's why life gets better. Great. So I'm really, thank you for letting me know. Hi, thank you for the reactions as well. Best channel, Bowie says. I am glad. I am glad. So thank you all for your support, for spending this amazing time with me on this Friday. How amazing is that? And I look forward to seeing you on the CBQ Masterclass. You can register at cbqwebinar.com if you want to quit smoking or vaping or nicotine, but feel stuck. Or if you've already quit and you still have cravings and you feel deprived, come there. You're going to get a lot of the answers you've been looking for. William, I'm about to close this live. Having cravings, is that normal? I would say I'm going to add the recording of this. I answered this earlier. This is a fantastic question, and you're going to get your answer there. Okay? And let me know in the comments after if I answer your question. but I answered completely. And instead of just giving you a quick answer that's not going to help you fully, because it's not going to be a full answer, I think the best is to watch the recording a bit earlier on, because it's going to help you. So thank you all so very much for joining me. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.